Good evening, YouTube, Periscope, and Facebook Live. Welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon, a retired NYPD detective with 20 plus years in law enforcement. And if you like all things true crime related from a police perspective, with special guests who specialize in the law enforcement and criminal justice field, please hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you will get all things DutyRon when I go live or when I upload another video. And tonight we're going to talk about why did Trezell and Jacqueline West obtain legal counsel, or if Jacqueline West and Trezell West retained counsel. And we're going to get into that right now. Friends, I want to say thank you to my Patreon supporters, my channel members, and all the people who subscribe and positively interact. My moderators, the folks who leave comments down below. You guys are instrumental in the positivity and success in this channel. Thank you, Rose, for becoming a new subscriber. And if you're new here, just put a new in the chat so I know that you're new or first-time viewer. So this way I know you're a first time. All of my returning viewers, thank you so much. Again, a lot of questions come into DutyRon.com. A lot of questions come into DutyRon.com, and they say, basically, DutyRon, did Trezell West and Jacqueline West retain an attorney? There's talk on the street that they did early on, and that law enforcement then got in a position where they had to talk through their attorneys to get to them. I don't know if that's the truth or if I haven't been able to confirm that. I actually reached out to a couple of law enforcement sources that I have, and I was not able to get anybody to tell me yes or no. Nobody said yes, nobody said no. So it's just in between. And if you listen to some of the interviews on KGE TV in Bakersfield, you'll hear Chief John Walker early on was asked outright by Perla Sheehan if they had retained attorneys, and he said, I don't know, basically. So that in itself is, for me, is things that make you go, Now, I get that everybody has to keep all of the information close to the vest, but we all want answers. We want to know what's going on. We want to know what's happening. Thank you, Landmark One. Thank you for the love for the DutyRon Crime Time show. Hello, Matty Boy Sully, and all the channel members, Minibot, and everybody is here. So for those of you who haven't seen the latest update, this is the update with the chief from the Bakersfield Police Department. It's Chief Greg Terry. He gave a quick interview, and I played it the other night for you folks, but I want to play it tonight before I introduce my guest who's going to be joining me tonight, which is also a fan favorite of the show, Joe Murray, criminal defense attorney. We're going to get into it in a few minutes, but let me play this little bit of media for you guys. So those of you who missed this update, it basically goes over all of the activity that the law enforcement is doing behind the scenes. So I think it's important that some of you guys see this. Maybe some of you haven't seen it. Maybe you have. And if you've seen it, maybe you'll catch something more from rewatching it. And then we'll talk about it. And then I'll bring Joe Murray, who is a criminal defense attorney, and he's going to talk about what are the advantages for people like Trezell and Jacqueline West of retaining counsel and why they do it, and why maybe it might not be a great idea. But we'll get into all of that in a few minutes, so stick around. Let me play this quickly for you guys so we can see what I'm talking about, and we can get right into it.
Chief, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
So let's talk about this. 163 days since the boys were first reported missing in Cal City. Of course, we've talked about this months ago, that your agency, the Bakersfield Police Department, has become the lead agency on this case. 163 days. You're saying the case is not cold. Why?
It is not a cold case. As you can see yesterday from the stats that we released, this is still very much an active case, and we are looking at every possible lead. You know, one of the things about this particular case is two young boys, they don't just disappear. They don't just walk away on their own. something happened at that day or in those days or at that residence. And so we are paying attention to every possible detail about what was reported, how it was reported, what was going on at the time, what had been occurring in the previous days or weeks or months even. So attention to detail is very critical in this case. Yesterday we released some details to give a little bit of insight into how much we have been doing, but it is very much an active case.
Well, let's go over those numbers one more time. So 170 items seized, 44 search warrants, 16 mass area searches, 3 outside California, and more than 200 tips. You know, these are big numbers. This sounds really impressive. What comes from this?
Every single day, we have a detective dedicated solely to this as a lead investigator, and he's working with a team of experts and analysts, even from other agencies such as the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, technical experts from the FBI. They're diving into every part of the items of evidence, what the statements were, what the just the smallest of details they're looking. So whether it was in a statement, whether it was in an item of evidence, the digital evidence is going to be very important in this case, and we're very much actively searching those items as well.
So the boys were reported missing on December 21st. 163 days ago, they were reported missing. Mm-hmm. Is it possible that, is this something that your department is looking at, that they may have been reported missing on that day, but something could have happened days, weeks, or months prior to that?
The short answer is we don't know what happened to them. And because we don't know, we're looking at everything. We're looking at what was reported, when it was reported, what was going on in the days, weeks, months leading up to that date. Is that the date that they were missing? We just don't know. And because we don't know, we're looking at everything, and we will not stop until we know what happened to these young boys.
You talked about all those little details that your department is looking at. You have a lead investigator that is dedicating his time to this. What have you found? What has the department found in all of these search warrants, items seized, searches, all these tips, 200 tips? What has come from that makes this case go forward?
Leads, little bits of information, a little bit of a breadcrumb from a witness statement, from an item of evidence that gets seized, from a tip that comes in. We're actively and aggressively pursuing every lead. And so the point of going piece by piece and paying attention to the closest and smallest detail in each of those things provides leads, provides us another step, provides us a potentially additional evidence to find out what happened.
Can you assure the community that you're moving forward, your department is moving forward in this investigation?
Absolutely. Like I said, we do not know what happened to them, and we're not going to stop until we know.
But there's nothing that has, in those tips and searches, you have been able to find things that have kept this investigation going.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about what comes next for the department. 163 days. We here at KGT have been counting the days. Mm-hmm. At some point, though, there's going to be a dead end, whether if you do not find these boys, if we don't know what happens to these boys, there is going to be a dead end. At what point does the department say, you know what, we've used all our resources, we've done absolutely everything that we can to try to find answers, and we can't? At what point do you get to that point?
We'll have to see if we get to that point. We are not at that point. And we are continuing to find little bits of information, enough to keep going, another lead, another location to go search, or another tip that comes in. This has continued over the last 163 days. And like I said, we are committed to finding out the truth about what happened to these young boys.
All right, I got to ask you, because there's a lot of people invested in this case.
Mm-hmm.
We know of people who have raised money for a reward to find these missing boys and to search for answers. We know of people who have raised money to put billboards, not just locally, but across the country, saying we need help. We need to find these missing boys. And there's also been groups that have formed to do their own searches, to help the police department, to help other officers going out there. What is the most effective way to get involved? How can people out there in the community that want to do something, how can they get involved in finding these boys?
The most effective way for them to assist us in this search is to provide us information that they have. If they have reason to believe that there's a location that needs to be searched, give us that information. Because one of the things about this coordinated investigation with multiple agencies is we have a lead detective that knows the full scope of everything that we're looking at, and that might be a very important piece of the puzzle. So that information needs to be provided to us. We recognize that there's great interest in this. 2 young boys just disappearing. We want to find out what happened to them, and we will find out. But we don't want people out searching and potentially disturbing or destroying evidence. If you know, or if you have a tip, or if you have information that you think might be important to us, call us. so that we can put it with the rest of the pieces that we have to see if it's significant.
Bakersfield Police Chief Greg Terry, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for
Okay, so quite a bit of information there from Chief Greg Terry. Thank you, Nancy Riddick, for the $20 super chat, and thank you, Ron Daniels, for your generosity as well. I want to bring on quickly a very good friend of the show. Everybody knows Joe Murray. He's a retired New York City police officer and also a criminal defense attorney. He ran for Queens County District Attorney in, I believe, 2019, and I encourage him to run again. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, and his microphone is muted. I know he'll unmute that. Joe Murray, ladies and gentlemen. Here he is.
Hey, how you doing, Ron?
Great to see you, Joe. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks
good
for
to be here.
I appreciate it. You know, this again is a difficult case at best. I mean, we have two boys, age 3 going on 4. Will be turning 4 soon. Orrin and Orson West, 3 and 4 years old, going to be 4 and 5. December 21st, out of California City, Bakersfield area, 90 some odd miles in between. We have no answers going here 165 days into this. A lot of frustrated, angry residents. The biological family wants answers. I've played many pieces of media, Joe, in regards to this case. There's literally worldwide coverage. There's people in the UK, New Zealand, all over the world, all over the country, want to know where our boys are. They want to know. And, you know, this channel in itself has drummed up enough money to sponsor billboards in Bakersfield and also in Lancaster, California. So we're doing what we can from afar. Joe, what's your thoughts as a criminal defense attorney? You've seen how the adoptive mom and dad have gave that one press conference. Everybody wants to see or hear, like, what are your thoughts on this? What's the advantages and disadvantages of retaining counsel in a situation like this?
Well, I think it's always, it's always an issue that there's something in the law called consciousness of guilt. And a lot of the public look at hiring a lawyer as, oh, they must be guilty. It's a consciousness of guilt. That's not correct. I mean, it's a fundamental constitutional right to retain counsel for anything. You can have counsel for anything, much less a criminal investigation. Also, I want to point out that the remaining 4 children were removed from this family. If that's not a reason to retain counsel, I don't know what is. I think 2 of them were foster kids, but 2 of them were biological children. So you got to think of the children and the relationship they have with the children, even if opting on the side of caution, they remove them from the parents because of the suspicious disappearance of these other 2 kids. You have to facilitate some type of visitation or even if it's supervised, to facilitate the relationship between the parents and the children. Because if this is all innocent, then why should their relationship be so damaged by the lack of contact? So I also see the potential criminal aspect of it, and I think it's appropriate. And I would encourage anyone in this situation to retain counsel, to guide you, to educate you, to tell you what the law requires and allows people to do in this situation.
Right.
So I don't think you should really look at that as a negative.
Right. Again, Chief John Walker from the California City Police Department was initially investigating this case. It's now in the hands of Bakersfield. We just heard Chief Greg Terry talk about the tremendous amount of search warrants that were conducted, the tremendous amount of people who were questioned, the amounts of evidence that they have booked on this case. The thing of it is, Joe, and I know that you haven't really studied this case from beginning to end. I gave it to you quickly. I just want to say they had a total of 6 children, 2 of their own. They had the 2 adoptive, and I believe the other 2 were either foster or adopted. So 34 years old, 6 children. And as California City Police Chief John Walker states, they suspect foul play. So, as you know, as being a New York City police officer and now a criminal defense attorney, it's the obligation of the department to, until they figure out why they're suspecting this foul play and figuring out answers, they need to secure these children. And I know for a fact, Joe, that there has been at least one proceeding in family court to try to get those remaining kids back. But a lot of the folks probably are having a hard time wrestling with, well, what if we give back these kids and they disappear too? Talk about that and what, I know you're not a family court, certified or whatever, but talk about that and the ramifications potentially for that on the police and child welfare.
Sure. Yeah, it's a great point. I'm glad you raised it because there are a couple of things that you have to consider. When you become a foster parent, what does the state do before they entrust you with the life of a child? They investigate you. They do a background on you. They check into you to see if you are a fit person to be a foster parent. So there's a lot of things that are coming into play here. 2 foster kids, and then they had these 2 adoptive kids. What's another thing that happens when you adopt children? There's also scrutiny there. So I really, everyone is looking for foul play, and I agree with John Walker. There is foul play here, but I don't think it's necessarily coming from the parents. You're talking about people that have been scrutinized both by, the adoptive parents to these 2 children who have gone missing, and also the foster kids. They're not just out of nowhere hiding in a house. I think it needs to be thoroughly investigated. I know they only lived there for about 3 months. You need to go and just start from the home and work backwards. How did they get there? Where did they come from? Look for signs and red flags in their history. But I got to tell you, it looks terrible because, the nature of them and the way he explained. Here's a consciousness of guilt. If, in fact, it's disproven what he said, that he left the gate open and wasn't paying attention and they got out of the gate, if that's disproven, that would be a consciousness of guilt, that he put forth a lie about how the kids went missing. That shows a consciousness of guilt, but that hasn't been shown yet either. So I think it's important to really investigate this and let the professionals do their job.
Right. Joe, again, there's a lot of ladies and gentlemen that are out here that are very, very upset. We have 2 little children who we don't have any answers for. The adoptive parents did not come forward only once, and they gave some story that doesn't jive with security camera images from their neighbors. So everything is pointing to, again, foul play, deceit, lying to the police. And a lot of people are angry. So I just want to remind my viewers in the chat, if you don't have something nice to say, this is a conversation of both sides of the story here. I'm trying to report on this to give both sides, not just the police perspective, but also the criminal, the defense attorney or an attorney's side. So if you cannot positively engage in the chat, you will be removed and perhaps blocked. So again, you could say what you want to say, but say it respectfully. And I get everyone's tempers are flaring. There's 568 people here, and all of us are angry, including Joe. Joe is, all for family and bringing a resolve to a case like this. Nobody, including these police investigators and police chiefs, they all have families. Nobody wants to see or have outstanding little boys out there and nobody knows about it. But at the end of the day, there needs to be a look at all sides of this. Now, the employment also of the adoptive parents was questioned. Like, they had no set careers or employment history. So there was a question thrown out, and people were saying, are they adopting or doing the foster care / adoption for money? There's so many things that are going on and that these people are being accused of. And you know what? They could be potentially correct. But again, we're not here to throw thorns at people or throw arrows at people. But they are not exhibiting. I had Mark Class from the Class Kids Foundation. I told you, Joe, he came on with me. He was gracious enough to come on and give his, his experience. In 1993, his daughter was raped and murdered and discarded on the side of the road underneath an overpass in California at Petaluma, like she was garbage. And the perpetrator of the crime, even at the end, accused him of abusing his own daughter at sentencing. That's how vicious of a thing that he went through. And he had the strength to come on with me, and he said, the first thing I wanted to do, and I'm trying to make a point here, so bear with me. The first thing, Ron, I wanted to do is clear my name with the police so I can help them find my daughter. These two are not doing that. The police said they're cooperating, but they're not showing up to search for their kids. They're not passing out flyers. They are not updating pictures. Like, who doesn't take a picture of their own kid? They gave us a picture to the public of when the kids were 18 months or 2 years old. It was ridiculous. I mean, it's just there's so much, Joe, surrounding this that makes them look like the bad guys. If in fact my kids were missing, I'd be standing on the top of my roof screaming their names night and day.
But even as, you may find people who are angry here, can you imagine the people that are confronting them on the street? I saw one of the interviews, I think it's the one you're talking about, when they first came out and spoke, and there was a woman who was just berating them. How could you leave them unattended in the yard? They're going to face that and be confronted by people, and it's just not something that, is in anyone's best interest. So, I kind of get it. I mean, I understand what you're saying. If they were my kids, I would be scouring the earth looking for them, but you just don't know what else is going on. I mean, their relationship may be at risk because of all the stress put on it. They're fighting to get their other kids back. There's a lot going on here. So I don't like to judge people in crisis like that.
Correct. And I understand, because like we know from the business that we were in with the police department, there's always two sides to the story, and then there's something in between for the truth. David Osaka from Osaka, Japan sends in 1,000 yen. I have to do a calculation. Maybe we can get someone to do that, but it's in yellow. So thank you, Dave from Japan. David Osaka is a great friend of mine. He is a wonderful live streamer. He is the first person that I know has live streamed inside North Korea. So Dave, thank you so much for that super chat. And thank you to everybody in the chat who is positively interacting. I know this is a very sore subject. This is a very sensitive topic to discuss, but I wanted you to come on tonight because, so many people were saying, DutyRon, why? Why, if they're innocent, do they need to bring on a defense attorney? Now, as a disclaimer, I have not been able to confirm whether they did hire an attorney or retain one, but I definitely read in a couple of publications that they did in the past, but I can't find that now. And my sources that I went to all said it has not been confirmed. So there could be a chance, Joe, that they had not, in fact, retained counsel. But we look at other cases like Barry Morphew. He's accused now of murder first degree and unlawful disposal of a human body, a bunch of different charges.
Yeah.
He reported his wife missing on Mother's Day of 2020, but he immediately retained counsel because he was being questioned and squeezed quite strongly by the FBI and the authorities.
But,
and I don't...
You know that just from our law enforcement, that's always the first place they look. That's always the first suspect. And you know what? It's a scary feeling. There are wrongful convictions that happen in this country. I think it's appropriate to hire an attorney to make sure things are done properly. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Absolutely. And Mary Glick, very good comment. She says, I do agree, Joe. Behavior like that gets you nowhere. Closer to the truth, or does it help? I do believe the adoptive parents are not innocent, but that isn't helpful. Yeah, speculating.
I may agree with you, but there's a process, and you have to let the process play out. We don't, there's no witch hunt going on here. We're going to run them down and hang them from a tree. I mean, this is, there's due process allowed here, and they should be afforded it. And we want to be sure. That's why our system is in place and all the checks and balances, because we want to be sure that we are convicting somebody. 12 strangers are going to get together, hear the evidence, and have to be unanimous and agree. I mean, that's a real high burden. And we want that, because I've been accused wrongfully. I know what that's like. It's a horrible feeling.
Yes.
People think about, the presumption of innocence, and we're innocent till proven guilty. That's a fallacy. Everyone looks at you as you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent. Here's a perfect example. Everyone presumes them guilty. They're not presumed innocent. And it's a scary feeling when the barrel of the criminal justice system is pointed right at you. It's a scary feeling.
Right. But again, in the defense of people that are saying that they are guilty or appearing guilty, their actions speak louder than words, or their inaction. And that's a problem. I mean, I brought up Mark Klass for a reason. I wanted to compare the two. Both are horrific cases. These boys being outstanding. We don't know whether they are still alive. They were sold and trafficked. They were abducted. We don't know. But what we do know is that their story is not jiving with what the video shows from the neighbor's house. And that's a fact. I mean, you can't sidestep that. Let me highlight quickly the case update. 170 items have been seized. Now, Joe, when they refer to items, what do you think? Computer, electronics, clothing, various items. Right.
Get it on the head.
Yep. So 83 individuals, as I said, have been interviewed. There's no interrogation in there. I don't think that it would be behoove them to put interrogate. But as you and I know, some interviews lead to an interrogation.
Yeah, they get tough.
Yep, 40, and that's where again an attorney comes into play. If you're getting squeezed and you feel that you don't want to talk anymore, you do have the right to remain silent, and anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Well, it could even be as simple as the type of questions. Like, are they leading questions, or are they open-ended questions where you're asking for, just give me an answer? That's why an attorney being there is you're in a better position. Not that you're hiding anything, but you don't want your answers to be construed the wrong way.
Yes. Thank you to everybody in the chat. I will get to the chat in a moment, and we'll take some questions, and then we'll wrap it up. 44 search warrants have been conducted, including on residences and electronic devices. So these, let me clarify, search warrants on different residencies. The adoptive parent's home, as we know, in Cal City, the adoptive grandparents' home, and probably numerous other locations. Because 44 search warrants, it doesn't mean that it's 44 different locations. It's 44 on particular items. And Joe can attest to this. You need to get a search warrant to go and get a computer and seize it. You need a search warrant that is specifically stated. You're to go in the house and remove all electronic devices. So that's what that could mean. 16 mass area searches have been conducted. That's self-explanatory. Out in a field, different law enforcement entities, state, local, federal. This is the interesting part. This is new, and I never saw this or heard of this up until yesterday. 3 searches have been conducted outside of the state of California. However, they did not specify what states. And I think that's significant, because they're not telling you what states they went and looked, because maybe that's where they got a tremendous amount of evidence. So again, they keep things close to the vest because they don't want to, disturb the integrity of this investigation. So that's significant. 3 searches outside of California.
Yeah, I saw that as well. That's interesting. But
Yeah.
that goes to what I was saying, like trace back their steps and see their communications and who they're in
Right.
communication with and where they travel. That's
Yeah.
why all those search warrants are appropriate. They could be for their credit card accounts. They could be their bank card accounts, looking for, different transactions, looking for, a path of where they've been and what they've been doing.
Correct.
It's all appropriate. I think, they're doing the right thing.
Yeah, I agree. 200 plus tips have been received. Each have been followed up on. Okay, that's pretty impressive. 200 plus tips by Bakersfield alone. This doesn't include maybe what came into California City for, I think, the first 2.5, 3 months. Cal City, that small police department had it. They were in way over their heads. But I think all the time, Kern County District Attorney's Office and Bakersfield were supplementing, and the FBI as well. So FBI, Kern County Sheriff's Department. I have a friend that works there. He's a sergeant, great guy. He confirmed it with me at Bakersfield. So they didn't do it, Joe. They didn't go at it alone. But you and I both were like, "Holy crap, DutyRon! Holy, what is the 13 member, including the chief? That's 12 cops and a chief." It's a tough
With
thing.
3 shifts, that's 4 cops per shift.
Yeah,
if
it's
they work 7 days a week, and then they got to rotate, so there could be two cops working.
Yeah, they're in over the head.
That's tough. They're at a real disadvantage. Think about New York City too. Like, one of the things they're trying to do is outside of the parents, because the parents are reporting them missing at a certain time, around 5:30.
Right.
They're trying to find out from neighbors or other people when they last saw the children. They're at such a disadvantage because of the small town area.
Right.
Like, think about New York City, like trying to do that. I mean, that would be, you would just go down the hall and knock on doors and upstairs and downstairs, the candy store,
Right. We're searching the concrete jungle. They're searching the desert, so it's a lot of different things. Let me just say quickly, Lisa D says, this is a question that many people ask, Joe. If they don't know what happened and the adoptive parents lied about it, does that qualify them to get jail time? Please.
Lying about it? No. Unfortunately, that only exists in the federal context. Lying to a federal officer is punishable. I mean, that's Martha Stewart. That's
right.
The whole thing behind General Flynn, but not in the state. I don't know of any state that allows prosecution.
Yep. Here's a YouTube channel, Matt, AB News Crew. By the way, Matt, my condolences go out on the passing of your father. I know you're in Texas now. So my sincere condolences go out to you and your family on the loss of your dad. He is one of the California City local, well, not California City, but local guys that are covering news stories, breaking news stories. So he says, my opinion is find out when the last time the boys were actually seen and work from there. I've been saying we need to all start over and work it backwards. Now, Matt, the police chief in California City, said that we work from the inside out, and that's how any good investigation goes. You start at ground zero where the report starts, and then you work your way back. I'm certain that Bakersfield is doing that. And Joe, what's your thoughts on that? That they're dotting their I's and crossing their T's.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, some of those search warrants were obviously the case files of these kids, the adoptive kids and the foster kids. They needed search warrants to get those. Look at the screening. Look at the other family relationships. Could this have been an abduction by a prior foster parent or someone else in the family tree? They have a lot of work cut out for them, a lot to do to rule out people, because that's really all they can do is rule out people unless they get hard physical evidence pointing to someone. And I thought he was talking about in one of his interviews that they were, piling up some evidence that it was going in a certain direction. I hope to hear that. I mean, that's encouraging to hear, but there is so much here looking at it from an investigative standpoint, and there's a lot available to them. Like I said, those court files are important. Those caseworkers, all those people that did background checks and, they may have had concerns, but not high enough of a concern to negate the adoption or the foster care placement. But
Right.
those are people I want to talk to. What did you feel about these parents,
Absolutely.
and see where that goes.
Yeah. Thank you for that question, Matt, and safe travels, you and your family. Let's continue on with, here's the facts. It's not a cold case. We're continuing to work closely with experts from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and technical experts from the FBI. Joe and I know the extensive expertise and specialty work that the Federal Bureau of Investigation does. They basically have the best of the best. They have an unlimited budget to work with, and the equipment that they use is, first. It's like top notch, high class. We continue to work closely with the California City PD. Obviously, they're in contact with them for additional leads, and a detective has been assigned as a full-time lead investigator and is supplemented by a team of detectives in crime analysis. Specific forensic and case matter experts have been brought in as needed. That's going to be supplemented from the state and the feds. The processing of the data from cellular devices and other electronic devices is still ongoing. This is as of yesterday. So, maybe they are continuing to get more subpoenas to maybe subpoena the actual cell companies and getting data that's going back a year. As we know, that's a little tougher to get, but it's not impossible. So that's still going on, day 163, now going on to day 165. Forensic processing of items of possible evidentiary value is still ongoing. Angela, thank you for supporting this live stream. That is Joe Murray's better half, as we know. She's the brains behind the operation.
And the muscle.
Yeah, and the muscle. And like in my cousin Vinny, where his girlfriend, soon to be wife, tells him that her biological clock's ticking. Well, Joe, for sake, a biological clock is ticking. I'm only kidding.
She's stomping on the floor.
Yeah, she's doing it. All associated family members, including adoptive and biological, have been interviewed, and in some instances, repeatedly. Any information on the disappearance of Orrin and Orson West and Cedar and Classic are encouraged to call 661-327-7111, Bakersfield PD, and the 800 The Lost, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And let me get to the other page, if I can find my freaking cursor. Okay, or any information is the secret witness line, 661-322-4040. I will link all those numbers down below. Thank you again, Angela, for the super love. I got to do this. I got accused of being creepy doing this. That somebody told me that's what young little girls do. They do this. But this is super love from me to you for the super chat. And I do that for everybody. It's a tough audience out there, Joe. I tell you, you can't make everybody happy.
That's okay.
Again, this is a devastating case. This has gotten people. I've received messages to the extent of people telling me they can't sleep at night, that they're losing sleep over this. That's how invested folks are across the country, across the world. By a show of hands, let's do a quick roll call. Who's chiming in from what city, what state? Let me know your country if you're outside of the United States. And if you're new, please put new in the chat so I can find you and say hello. So I have a question. Why do other people that are that their kids go and so yeah. So again, this is circling back to why aren't they arrested for child neglect if they don't have real answers of what happened to their kids? I'll let you take that, Joe.
Yeah, well, endangering the welfare of a minor is a charge in New York. It's generally a misdemeanor. If you act in a way that could be injurious to a child, then you could be charged. But it has to be likely to be injurious and not just possible to be injurious. And I think it's something that that they could definitely be considered for. But that's really, I mean, is that the goal here? We want to find these kids first. Let's find these kids or find out what happened to them. There's plenty of time for that blame game later, but right now, we, you know, even as an investigator, right now it seems they're cooperative. Why do we want to end that? Let's keep that cooperation going. And if we do think they're guilty, let them keep talking and we'll build a case against them. But I mean, just to rush to lock somebody up, I'm never in support of something like that.
Yeah, I get that. But again, on face value and what they're showing us is they're not being cooperative. Police are saying 3 months ago that they were being cooperative. The Bakersfield Police Department, the police chief, I don't think recently has said that. I don't think he's been asked, to be honest with you. So if there's a news reporter listening to this live stream, please ask Chief Terry, ask Greg Terry if the adoptive family, because I know the biological family, Roro, who's running around with a face mask on with the boy's picture on it just to get everybody to see it. She goes around with that thing everywhere. She posts signs up. She would give her left arm to the police if they asked for it. So the problem, Joe, again, and I circle back to it and I sound like a broken record, is that these folks are not standing locked arms and arm in arm with the community, and they're not handing out flyers, and they're not saying where the hell are my kids? They're in seclusion, they're quiet, and I don't think that that's helping them. So if they happen to come upon this, Jacqueline and Trezell, I say do the right thing. Give pictures of when the last time these boys, you had to have taken pictures of your adoptive kids at Halloween 2020, even though we were in the middle of a pandemic. You had to have taken pictures of them on their birthdays last year. We don't have anything from them. And when the police are asked, did you get pictures out of their phone of the boys? They said, you have to ask them. We can't release the pictures that were on the phone if there were any. But the adoptive mom said, they took my phone. I have all the pictures on there. She said that December 23rd. It's now,
I remember that. It's
now June 4th, right? So what the is that? I mean, I'm trying to make this a clean show, but Jennifer Nobles is in the chat. I saw that she was in the lobby. I know that she may want to come on because we have some stuff that we want to talk about in regards to the boys. So Jen, if you want to chime back in with that link and come and join us, I will add you on. Joe, again, we finished up with the most recent update, and there's 715 people watching the live stream. I mean, if you were a defense attorney or if you were an attorney representing this family, would you give them advice? I mean, and if you don't want to answer this, I understand. Would you give them advice like, hey, try to be a little more transparent, give some more information publicly for the people who are running around, going through fields looking for your kids? I mean, is that unreasonable to ask?
I do think, not knowing enough about what's happening, but again, I just want to point out, before this happened, this was a family with 6 children, and now they're alone, and who knows if they're fighting it, and they're fighting to get the kids back, and there's a lot of stress going on in this house, in this relationship. There's a lot of animosity, as you can see. People have opinions they've already formed against them. So people react differently, and these people are reacting by becoming recluse and not engage in the community. Maybe they tried and were just shouted down and beat up. And, so now they decided we're not going to do that. I don't really know enough about it. I certainly, if I was representing them, would be more public and more vocal with them to make sure that they're being protected and, they're not in danger. But I do think, there should be a spokesperson putting out information, educating people, because we want their continued help and assistance. I think it's great that the community came together and they've been searching these wide, areas in the desert there. We need that. The police need
Right.
that. With a department of 13 cops, you need the public to come in and help. So to encourage that help and support, I would be more vocal and get out there as a spokesperson for the family and encourage the family to come out. Yes.
Right.
Answer your question 100%. I'm just trying to explain why I think it may not be happening right now because of the dynamics of what they're facing. There's so much going on right now with these other kids and even their own relationship.
Yeah, I agree. But again, at the end of the day, here's the real deal. There's hundreds, perhaps, several hundred people who come out at any given time and will volunteer to search a lot, search an embankment, search in the desert. There's a Mojave Desert is here. A.B. Watchman, thank you for being in here. Hello, Steve. Good to see you. Thank you. A.B. Watchman has been from the beginning, boots on the ground, kicking dirt around and, shaking up the tree, so to speak. So they're out there and they're running around. These are complete strangers. These people do not know Orrin and Orson West. They do not know these folks. And the story hit them right in the heart, just like where it hit me. And if I was in California or anywhere remotely close, you could bet your bottom dollar I would be out there searching for them. But I'm here on the other side of the United States, and I'm doing what I can from afar. Come again. Thank you so much for the super sticker, super chat. I appreciate that. Again, the frustration level is so high because they appear to be very dishonest in their story. Because again, I circle back to that video from the neighbor Mike, I think his name is. He said that basically he gave his hard drive, the DVR, to the FBI and the local police, and it showed this adoptive father, really not looking for his kids, and really there was no kids on the camera. They weren't in the backyard. You couldn't see them. You couldn't see anything. And then he went out for like a very short period of time and just went around the block and came back and then called the police and waited, I don't know, 13 minutes or whatever. The cops came, and then she comes running out of the house. He said he was getting firewood and they went out of the gate. Why are you searching on the inside of your house if they left outside the back? So his whole story, I'm not going to play it again because I don't want to bog people down with this. I played that like 5-6 times on live streams. Just everything about the story that they gave December 23rd to the press conference, and AB news crew was there, right? He was right there, like listening to them talk. And a lot of local people, as you heard, the adoptive family, the aunt was there, and she was pissed and saying, we entrusted you and blah, 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 blah.
It was hostile, no doubt about it.
But it was hostile because their story definitely didn't jive with what the video said. And that's why Chief Walker says he suspects foul play right out of the gate, because the story wasn't matching up. And now the frustration comes in. If their story doesn't match up, why aren't they brought in and why aren't they arrested? Well, as you and I both know, there's a lot more to the component of a legal, lawful arrest than just suspicion. I
mean, there's probable cause to arrest, but then you have to worry about getting a conviction, So I'm sure the police department is sharing their information with the district attorney. This is a case where, there's so many search warrants that comes from the district attorney. So I don't think you're going to see an arrest on probable cause. I think you're going to see an arrest where they feel pretty comfortable that, they have enough evidence to get a conviction.
Right. That's the thing, is that we're all waiting for that, and it can't happen quick enough. If they were able to, narrow this down and say, listen, these guys lied. When's the last time a doctor saw these kids, or a dentist, or a local, the pediatrician? When was the last time anybody saw them in a CVS or a local pharmacy or a local store? When interviewed initially, the neighbor said they never saw those two kids. So, I mean, how about the garbage man? How about the post office guy, the guy who delivers their mail? How about water authority people, the street cleaners, or whatever they have there.
Dog walkers. I used to love
hey,
dog walkers. They see everything.
You
They're
can't
out
tell
there.
me in a remote area like that where there's like 5 or 6 houses at the most on that block. I mean, my block, everybody knows what everyone's doing, but we're kind of on top of each other. But when there's smaller amounts of people, hey, you know what's going on down the street? They do this. They let the dogs bark. Like, somebody had to have seen so I really feel that, and Bill, our good friend, Homicide Detective Sergeant Bill Cannon, he said, Ron, these kids never made it to California City.
Where's the DutyRon mugs? I got my
the,
off the cuff mug. I'm looking for a DutyRon. You got any?
I'll get you one. I'll get one for you.
All right.
You and Ange get crime time with DutyRon. Definitely. Jennifer, can you call back in before I wrap this up? Because I want to get you on here to talk about the birthday celebration that's coming up. I want you to talk about it. So Jennifer Nobles, you are being summoned to this live stream. And if you don't join, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you dearly. Let me look at the chat. If anybody's got some questions, put it up in the chat. Jen, would you please rejoin just for a moment so we could talk about the website? Let me get that up here now while I'm waiting. You know me, I'm challenged. Joe, anything else that you might think that could be helpful? People are asking me what my theory is. Everybody knows my theory. Look at some of my live streams. Look at the thing. I say that these two know hands down what happened to those kids, and the story that they gave was bullshit.
What's the motive, though? What is your motive for whatever they did to these kids?
I mean, that we could go down several rabbit holes with the motive, but I don't say that there's any upside to what they did. I say that this guy had a moment and killed one of the kids or both of them.
He did make a point of, in his first public speaking about the kids, describing them as rambunctious, and they fight with each other or wrestle with each other. I don't know. Is that a sign that maybe he lost his temper because of, their behavior? 6 kids is a lot, and they're young kids.
That's the way I go. I don't believe that there was any motive or any benefit. Like some people say, I'm looking over here because I'm trying to find something, but I'm definitely concentrating on what I'm saying. If some people are saying, well, they sold them for money, they harvest their organs for money. I think that that's hogwash, at least in my eyes. I don't discount anybody that thinks that. That may be, but I think that's a long shot. I think he lost his cool with them, and look at what happened with Amari. What was his last name? Amari. Now I'm going to get crucified for that. The little boy in Las Vegas, Nevada. I covered the case, but
we're getting older now. This happens.
Yeah, man. 57 this sucks. But anyways, the Amari kid was killed because he was soiling himself, and the boyfriend of the mother Nicholson. Thank you. I knew somebody would help me. Thank you, SS. First time viewer. I appreciate it. The mother left him with the boyfriend, and he couldn't handle it, and he wound up beating the kid to death. So I have, in my eyes, I feel that something like that. I could be wrong. All right. So Jennifer is not complying for whatever reason. She's not coming on, but she was on earlier. Okay. So let me get this right. Sincere, Orrin, and Sincere and Orson. Orrin's name is out there. Let's keep the name out here. So Classic and Sincere. There's going to be a birthday party. So it's called Stomp, Chomp, and Roar. I want to show this. It's June 11th. He would have been turning 4 years old. So I'm going to show this on. Hold on a second. Let me make sure I got this right. Oh. Okay. Oh, this is from Crenshaw Incorporated. She put together a website, I believe, or her and the ladies put together a website. I just want to show this. How can I do this?
Hey, YouTube family.
Hold on. I guess I can't. Where's Jennifer when I need her?
Oh.
Anyways, I wanted to also bring in a good friend of the show. Everybody knows him. He does a lot of behind the scenes work. Joshua H. He's always here to do the technical parts, the audio, the visual, helping me with all of my stuff. He is like my Ange, you know.
Yeah.
So Josh, I want to say hello to you and thank you for all your behind the scenes work. That's the back office right here, Josh. Thank you so much for everything you do. I hope he's not asleep.
Hey guys.
Hey.
No, not asleep. Listening
Right.
in.
Cool. So
Make
there's
sure,
Josh.
guys.
Yeah, he's behind all of he's behind everything that happens here on Crime Time with DutyRon. So thank you, Josh, for all your hard work and the hours that you spend enhancing the viewer experience. So thank you, Josh, for everything.
My pleasure, Ron.
Anything for the audience that you want to say?
Yeah, guys, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow, share it with your family. Be sure to check out DutyRon.com. Check out the merch, and we have some new merch on the way. So take a look, and hope you guys leave a comment down below. Ask some questions. Go to the website. Ask some questions. Ask to get invited into the Discord where we talk offline about pretty much anything from music to food to crime, pretty much anything. So yeah, get involved. A lot of fun.
Thank you, Josh. You know, and there's so many times that Josh is always here behind the scenes, and I say to him, "Hey, I want you to come on," and then push comes to shove, and an hour and a half later, Josh is on to improving other things on the website, or it jumps off, and I can't get him on. So this time, I remembered. I made a note to myself. You know, you get old, you got to make little sticky notes. Bring Josh on. All right, here's Jennifer coming on. Josh, I'm going to keep you on with us if you don't mind. Jennifer Nobles, the woman behind getting me started with the digital billboards. So what am I looking at? It looks like a ceiling. There's a palm tree. There she is. Hi, Jen.
Hi.
How are you, dear?
I'm good. How are you?
Say hello to. I'm doing good. Say hello to Joe Murray and Josh.
Hello, Joe Murray, and thank you so much for this tonight. This has been very interesting.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Hi, Josh.
Josh?
Good evening.
Okay, Josh said hello. He's a little shy sometimes. But anyways, I want to talk about the birthday party. I know you're playing around with your phone. Now it's sideways. Now you're right. I'm going to put you full screen. You're good. You're good. Keep it. You're good. Keep it like that. Tell the
so
audience
good with the palm trees.
Yeah, I love the palm trees. Tell the audience about what you have planned, please.
Oh, I love you.
What is she doing? I want you to tell everybody what you guys have planned with Roro and the family.
I can't get back on now.
You're on. Oh my goodness, Joe, this is the greatness of a live show.
I don't know if you can get me in there, but I can't see it.
You're on. I can hear you. Jen? Bueller.
Can you hear us?
Well, I can see it, but I can't hear it now.
All right, so go out and then come back. Go out and then come back.
Go out and come back in.
All right, she's getting my hand movements. All right, let's go to a couple of questions. She needs the link. She's got it. I gave her the link. Let me scroll back because there was a lot of comments coming in, a lot of questions. Ron, you're the best. Oh boy, thank you. That's the one I pick out. I'm scrolling up to Ron, you're the best.
You are.
All right, Jen's back. Let's add her in. It looked fine. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can now. Thank you. I'm so sorry. I got a incoming call, and it interrupted it.
All right. Okay. No problem. Yeah. You got to try to remember to put it on do not disturb, but I always forget when I do this. All right. I brought you on because I want you to tell you're doing great stuff for the boys. We have a birthday party coming up June 11th, and I want you to talk about a little bit of what you got going on, if we're allowed. Are we allowed to do that? It's all over social media.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say now it's a good time. So Roro and I went to a venue, banquet hall, And there's a lady here in Bakersfield that heard about the story, and at her boyfriend's gas station, they had posted a flyer a couple months ago, and they went on to, like, started to look at the story and stuff like that and research it. And so she knew about it, and she's a mom of 3 children, and she's very concerned, and that kind of thing. And she ended up, it was a very expensive venue, so we were like, oh, we can't do that, thank you very much. I mean, $5,500 is not what we're looking for. We're trying to get a park with grass and just, like, do a birthday party for some kids, like, that's
Right.
all we're trying to do. And then she reached out to me later and said, I want to it's a long story, but she reached out later and said, I want to donate it, and give you guys the day for it, and you guys can come here and do everything, and make this birthday party special for him, as long as it's about them and not anything else.
That's
And
fantastic.
so gave her our word that, yeah, of course, clean up and everything. And we're going to start working with her on decorations. I mean, she's going to do tables, and, we have to, give us a few supplies like tablecloths and balloons and stuff like that. But she's going to set everything up, and she's like just all in it. Like it was a pretty amazing thing, like, that happened a couple of nights ago. And I can't thank her enough. Her name's Annabelle, and her banquet hall is going to be amazing. And this birthday party is for the boys, and it's actually, for the one that's turning 4, Orson, and his brother's gonna, he's gonna turn 5 in only a month and a half.
August,
Also.
right? In
So,
August, yeah, August.
yeah, I think August 4th, if I remember
Yes,
correctly.
August 4th. I have it written down.
So yeah, so this is a start, and all I want to do is bring awareness and positivity, like I always tell you.
Right.
It's all about that, and getting the word spread, and people watching. The news media is going to be involved, and covering. I've made some calls, and there's other things behind the scenes that I don't really want to say on here, but it should be a pretty special event. And he, if he sees this, I hope he's proud. I hope he knows that people from all around, the world, like, see how much we care.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. And I got to tell you, the great part about this is that you are helping to make a lot of things happen. And like, as much as you don't like the credit, it's you don't even understand how much impact you're having on Roro and her family. So kudos to you and all the juggling that you do with being a mom, being a businesswoman, being a good human being. So I tip my cap always to you. You're like a second sister to me, really. I say to myself, when I talk to you and when I have our conversations, which we have quite often, I just say how blessed I am and how blessed these boys are to have somebody like yourself and the hundreds, perhaps even thousands of people who are out there donating their time, their money, their efforts, their so teamwork is what makes this go on. And
Teamwork is the dream work.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's so beautiful to see humanity, the goodness of humanity come together. And you guys know that's what my program's all about, is bringing out the best in people, and trying to give straightforward information that is not filled with a lot of fluff and nonsense. So my police perspective and my service to the public didn't end when I retired. It continues in my retirement. And the same thing with Joe Murray. He's here. Josh is donating a lot of his time creating websites for me, and he has links to the boys and the tip hotline and all the stuff on DutyRon.com. Jen, you and I have conversations back and forth. We're juggling work schedules and going crazy into little corners, and like, oh, I got 5 minutes. Let's talk really quick, So, and it's all about the boys. So, these are the things that people don't see. But this is what goes on. And I commend you for the beautiful work that you're doing. And I know Ro loves you. We all love you. We think that you're, a fabulous person. And I want you to know how much I appreciate you. And I can't wait one day to see
I
all of you
appreciate
guys.
you. You have no idea.
The feelings are so mutual. I just hope that one day in the future, I can get out there to California and just give a big hug with all of you guys together, like a group hug,
For sure. I think that's going to happen someday in the near future.
Absolutely. So that's it. I'm going to link the website. What is the website?
I believe it's just wherearetheboys.com.
Yeah.
There's actually a virtual birthday card. Did you talk about that already?
I pulled it up on Crenshaw's site, but I didn't want to show her YouTube, in case.
Well, you don't have to do that. You can just go to the website, the wherearetheboys.com,
and
everybody can get on there and actually sign something as long as they're positive. Obviously, that's all everybody wants, and it's whoever did that. I really don't know who that was. That's somebody else that's working behind the scenes that may or may not want their name out there, but that is amazing, beautiful. When I saw that last night, I had to get on there and sign a card and sign and just say something and just encourage him. Like one day we will see you, not one day if we see you. It's like it's going to happen.
Right.
That's how I feel.
I'm with you on that, sister. I'm with you 100%. Here's the website. Sign a birthday card. So I'm going to click off of that. I'm going to accept these cookies, and it's got a running counter for the days that the boys are missing. 165 days, 2 hours, 22 minutes, 56 seconds.
Yep, it's got the count.
Yeah, so this is a great website, and it shows the pictures of the boys. $125,000 reward for Orrin and Orson West, Sincere and Classic, aka, and then it just gives particulars and all. This is a great website. This is the first time I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It actually just was put up I want to say 2 days ago is what I found out today, and it was just finalized. And whoever is working on that, I believe Ro told me 2 people were behind the scenes working on that, and whoever they are have been working on it for a long time. So anyways,
I would love to have whoever created this website come on and give them just give them a shout out, give them kudos, because this is a great website.
For sure.
I got to sign the birthday card. I encourage everybody to go over to wherearetheboys.com. It's all one word. And there's a lot of media on here, a lot of stuff. Message areas.
And is it okay if I say another YouTuber's name in this one, or not really?
Of course. Yes. No, of course.
Okay. I would like to give a shout out to Crenshaw, because she's the one that did a tutorial on how to actually navigate it for people like me that are tech stupid. And I loved that she did that, because if she didn't, I might have had trouble with it. I might not have. I don't know. But I watched her YouTube, and then that's how I was able to get on there and easily navigate it. So I don't know. It's my 2 cents. But I loved it, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, Crenshaw's doing a great job. I mean, I would have played her YouTube thing, but I just didn't have her permission, so I'll
I don't know either. I'm sorry if I.
Yeah, no, it's fine. If she says it's all right in the future, I will show it. But I'm going to link this website down below. Police off the cuff sending $10. Can you imagine, Joe? Bill Cannon, I think, sending $10, and we got the dipped in butter. Let me show that up close. There's Police Off the Cuffs merch. Police Off the Cuff is retired homicide detective sergeant dipped in butter. I love it. So everybody go over to Police Off the Cuff and subscribe to his channel. He's a retired homicide detective sergeant. He comes on and talks about the boys with me quite a bit. But Jen, I know you got to go. I love the palm trees. Where are you? Are you in a remote location that you can't disclose?
I'm in my backyard.
That's beautiful. When is the party? When are we coming over for a barbecue?
It's on the 11th. It's a week from today, actually, June 11th, from 2 to 6. And we're asking, just the people that are supporters to come and give their support for his birthday.
Outstanding.
Jen,
Yeah,
I don't know if you can share or not. Sorry to interrupt, but are you in touch at all with the family, or have they reached out to you? Or if you want to share,
I am only in touch with Roro, and that's it. So I don't know anybody else, and I hope that they all know that everything that's being done is for support, and that's a big thing. And I appreciate you asking that question, actually, because that's the only reason I'm even involved helping get this thing organized, is because I believe that there should be justice, and I believe that there should still be word out there and support and everything. But no, I do not know anyone else.
Joe, what was the question? Like, why were you asking that? Just out of curiosity.
No, I was just, I think it's a wonderful, beautiful thing. If somebody was doing that for my kids, I would, certainly reach out to them and say thank you. I was curious if they reached out to you at all.
Yeah. So Roro is the biological cousin of Classic. She, her and Jennifer,
her and I did this together. I didn't do this by myself.
So she put it together with somebody from the family, and Ro is very appreciative of Jennifer. They're like two peas in a pod now. So they're really, they're working, girl power together, and they're doing God's work out there. So, all I do is really give them words of wisdom and encourage them, so, and then give my old man wisdom to them. So, and something from a police perspective. So that, that's my contribution, and financially too, whenever I can, I try to, donate when I can, and generate funds from this channel. So it's, for me, it's an important thing to do. It's important for me in many different ways. Now we have Jennifer in 2. She's here twice. How does that happen? One of them is frozen. Where are you? Okay, you're back. You're back.
I tell you, tech thing.
Technological. Anyways, so that's what goes on from this end is generous viewers send in donations, and I pay them forward to the billboards, the digital billboards. We're over $4,000 into that, and there's a lot of things that we're doing for the boys, trying to help.
Great.
Every little bit helps. Police Off the Cuff came in with another super chat. I think maybe he might bill me for that. Like he might say, I sent you the super chat, but you have to send it back to me. But thank you, Bill Cannon. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Mark DeMeo too. I think he's playing this weekend, Mark.
Yeah, but I don't think Mark would send it. He's too cheap. His butt cheeks are very tight when he walks. It's squeaky. But anyways, I know that's Bill Cannon because Mark, Mark's too busy. All right, so she is in a backyard. I hear the kids running around.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wrap it up. Everybody
That's
go
what it's
over
all
to the
about
website.
right
Yeah, I'm gonna link the website down below, wherearetheboys.com. Thank you to whoever constructed that. Thank you to Crenshaw. Thank you to AV Watchman, AV News Crew, you, Roro, everybody, Detective Sergeant Bill Cannon, Joe Murray, criminal defense attorney, Josh, and everybody that makes this channel happen. I greatly appreciate you. Thank you to my replay viewers, the channel members, the Patreon supporters, the people who send in PayPal donations, my moderators, all of the friends and people who support this channel. I love and respect you tremendously. Again, without you guys, we would have nothing here. So thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. On behalf of the Sincere and Classic Orrin and Orson West family, I thank all of the people who give these donations. It goes to the cause. It goes to finding the boys. So thank you for that. Love and respect from my house to yours. As I always end these, God bless the world. God bless the United States of America. And God bless each and every one of us here in the chat, all victims of crime and their families across the globe. Good night from New York City, and thank you for joining. Bye, Jen. Bye, Joe. Bye, Josh.